Hey YouTube, this is Kevin Bowen of Bowen Small Engine, and today I wanted to show off my recent build, which is a quick release snare trap. This thing is absolutely amazing, probably one of the better traps that I've ever made. I caught one hellacious coon in this thing. I mean, it was like the Arnold Schwarzenegger of all coons. It was huge. Couldn't even begin to tell you how many pounds it was. So this trap is just absolutely phenomenal. I think anyone that is interested in making this, I'll definitely take the time to explain how I have. But just give me a comment, let me know whether you're interested in how to make this or not. I am going to go through and give you just an idea about how I went about doing it. If there's any questions, if you feel like you can't tackle this job, or it's just a little too hard and you really have an interest in it, leave me a comment. I assure you I will get back in touch with you. Basically, I'm going to start off with how I made the release mechanism. If you look, I'm going to pull this apart for right now. If you'll look, you'll see that I have a quick release mechanism. Basically what I've done is I took a bearing, put it in the center between two pieces of steel, put a nut on one side and a nut on the other. Well, I'm sorry, I actually let a bolt through, okay, a bearing, and then welded a nut on one side, and then of course welded the nut on the other side, or the bolt on the other side. From there I came down and I've done basically the same thing. I just welded another bolt from here through a piece of steel that was flat, as you can see, and then I welded a little tiny tab on top of the flat piece so I'd have a way to actually push the release mechanism for the top off, and I put a little flat on the back of it just in case that when it was pushing or the wind blew, if it tried to drift off, it would still be able to potentially push it off. I put a spring if you can see this, right here, to actually hold this mechanism back. I drilled a hole here and drilled a hole back here, put a spring across, made this U shape so I'd have a way to attach the bar to the ground. And then from there I found an old eyelet that went in an old wagon and pulled it out and just made me a stop for the stake, which you can see. That's all it really is just a stop. You wouldn't necessarily have to have this this big, but I just happened to have it. It was cut to length and it was easy enough to weld. So from there I came over and I decided that I'd put me another piece of steel against the straight piece here, bring it over, and this is part of an adapter for a lawnmower, a blade adapter. I just put it right on top and welded it to that little piece of steel. Then after I did that, I built this piece, which is another piece of straight steel that I drilled a hole in, as you can see, so I could slide a rope through. From there I welded another piece, then came down, welded another piece, and from there I welded another piece. I think these are 2.5 inches. Okay, the weldments are from here to here, and from here to here, and of course from here to here. I did angle the bottom one just to make it have a smooth exit when it comes out of the bearing. The snares are just cables. You can actually look up on YouTube how to make a snare. There's nothing fancy about this. It's just a few washers, okay, with a cable. You can buy all these parts at Lowe's. As far as the snare cables, they're not very expensive at all. I think I got maybe $4 in both of the snare cables, if that. But basically I attach them to the top. There's a board that goes right here. I'm going to go ahead and load this back. There's a board that'll go right here on top. There'll be a hole in it for this to, of course, slide through. There'll be another 2 holes for the 2 nuts, of course, and the bolts to come up through. There'll be a hole in the back about 12 inches away, and another hole in the front about 12 inches away that your snare cables come down through. The animal, of course, with there being a hole, okay, right here, the animal would come through, step on the plate. Of course, there's a board on top because it's like a natural hole. The snares are at the beginning of the holes, or even midways if you like to put them. And if you can reach back into it and put them halfway, I'd recommend it. As close to the release mechanism as you can. That's actually what I did, and I just tied a chicken leg to it through the holes here. That's all I done, and I caught a monster coon. If there's any interest in this trap, like I said, give me a comment. I'll be more than happy to show you guys, go a little more into detail, pull the traps up, actually show you the workings a little better. But I think it's pretty simple, and the average YouTuber may potentially be able to make this, as long as they have a welder and a few pieces of steel.